And we are live, guys. Let's discuss the 80-hour work week. How do you know if you're doing the 80-hour work week and how well you're doing the 80-hour work week? What I've noticed is that you have two aspects of success. Number one is quantity, and the other is quality. And everyone is always talking about, oh, you have to learn to work smarter or rather than harder. But the fact is that in order for you to compete in the world of entrepreneurship and business, you have to do both because it's the combination that makes things work. Money loves speed, and speed comes from momentum, and momentum comes from having both quantity and quality. Now, it is true that if you are the higher ticket the product or service is, the fewer people you will need, right? But the fewer people you will need, the higher ticket it is, the more people you need to talk to in order for you to get to those people that are able to pay that amount of money, right? So it's going to be a longer time in between before you manage to close someone who's going to be able to purchase that thing. So no matter how you twist and turn it, it's always going to go back to quantity first and then quality. Or something that Hormozy mentioned the other day, which I thought was pretty cool. I think he called it quantility, where you do both. You have to do both. All right. So, but let's start with number one, because in the beginning, you don't have quality. Everything that you do sucks. And that's okay. As an entrepreneur, that's the experience. That's what we have to go through. That's what we have to accept. That it's going to be horrible. The first YouTube video that you put out is going to be bad. Like, absolutely atrocious. And you can go back to my, earliest YouTube videos, and they were pretty bad. It's still decent. I still was able to talk to the camera, but, 8 years later, 10 years later, oh my gosh, 8 years. 8 years later, I can speak to the camera and without a script a lot better. Back then, that first video, that was scripted, okay, if you don't see it. So this is what happens naturally over time, is that once you start doing a bunch of numbers, you're going to be able to get better and better and better over time. But you have to start with the quantity aspect first. So let's do the basics. I talk about the 80-hour work week. Why don't I talk about how to be effective, how to do this, how to do that in business, how to do whatever? It's because no one is doing the numbers. No one is doing the quantity part. They're just talking, okay? A lot of talking about quality. There's no quality without quantity, as I've just mentioned, right? So we first have to figure out how many hours a week are you working. I have several guys that I'm talking to. There's one specific, obviously don't mention names, but there's one guy who has all of these ideas, and this is entrepreneurs in general, very including me. This has been me, sometimes is me still. But you have so many ideas as a business owner, an entrepreneur, because your brain functions like that. You find a problem and then you want to create a solution. And there are so many problems in the world that you end up thinking of so many different business ideas, but nothing gets a runway because you're avoiding the work. And coming up with ideas is the fun part. Coming up with creative solutions is the fun part. But unless people are actually paying you for those ideas and for those solutions, it was never worthwhile. And it's the people part of business that's difficult, and that's not necessarily very enjoyable in the beginning. Over time, it becomes extremely enjoyable. In fact, it becomes the most enjoyable part of business, is working with people, because you're working with better and better clients continuously. And those clients are so eternally grateful for the product or service that you brought them. And you're talking to your employees, you're talking to your team, you're talking to people that are just so eternally grateful, even your family for that matter. In the beginning of your entrepreneurship journey, your family and friends don't care. In fact, they're kind of upset with you for doing what you're doing because you're always gone, you never participate, you're always, struggling, or always having an attitude or being upset because all day long you're being rejected, right? And so you have a very short fuse when you come home, or a very short fuse when you are with your friends. And so, like, it's tricky, right? Because you are being pounded like in a boxing match continuously every single day, and you kind of don't want to talk to anyone after that. Like, you're talking to a bunch of people that are just massively rejecting you in entrepreneurship. Who wants to go through that? It's like, entrepreneurs are a little bit insane because they're willing to put themselves through that extraordinary pressure because they want something that's on the other side, and they have to cross all of that crap in order for them to get the results. And so you start with the quantity because we don't want to do it. And so you start with something that's easy, okay? I'd speak about the 80-hour work week, but it's the ideal aspect of entrepreneurship. And you won't be able to do it if you don't have anything else going on, most probably. This is why I recommend having a job or 2 or 3 jobs while being an entrepreneur, because it makes the entrepreneurship journey easier to handle, although extremely difficult still. Like, of course, it's going to be difficult because it's 80-hour work week. It's not easy, right? And so you start out with something that's easier to do, which is the 3 jobs. 3 jobs are easy to do because it's just about showing up, right? Each of those hours, you're simply doing well enough for you not to get fired, and well enough so that, they are appreciative of you being there, and you probably are going to get a small raise every single year because they want to keep you. That's it. Like, you don't want to overdo the effectiveness of the hours at work. You're going to do what you're told. You're going to do your best at work, but not more than that. Because the more effort you put in, the more energy that you put in to employment and doing a job for someone, like, you could put 80-hour work week on a job that only requires 40 hours from you. Like, what do you think is going to naturally happen if you put in the 80-hour work week on a job where they only expect 40 hours a week? Like, you're going to absolutely crush the competition. Everyone's going to think that you're continuously trying to get ahead, and they're going to, sabotage, and they're going to cause problems. They're going to spread rumors about you at work and all that stuff. Like, why are you doing the 80-hour work week? Like, why are you putting so much effort in the work? Like, we now have to do more because what you're doing, right? And that was a story I heard the other day of someone who was doing, I think it was Miles. Okay, Miles, if you're watching my video. But he was talking about how he was on I think it was the soccer team, and they were running laps, and he started, massively booking it and running much faster than all of his teammates. And one of his teammates said, "Bro, Miles, don't run so fast. You're making us look bad." Right? And so he naturally then started to slow down a little bit to kind of, but let's have some more camaraderie inside of the group and, on the team. And so, I'm going to do what's required in order for me to keep the team together. And then the coach saw this, and after they were done running, the coach said, "We're going to run again." And he was talking to Miles specifically, "And I want you to do your best. I don't want you to do what everyone else is doing and slowing down. I know you can do better than this." And so from that moment on, Miles was like, "Okay, I'm going to massively book it." And he lapped, the guy that said that he should slow down. Very often, things like that happen in business where people, or in employment, where people are saying that you should slow down because you're doing too much. And too much, you're going to be noticed, and you're going to progress, and you're going to set the bar for what people should be doing on average, because you're bringing the average up, right, of what's possible. So doing the 80-hour work week in employment is not necessary. You just want to do 40 hours of work in a 40-hour of job. Does that make sense? Okay, so we're moving now over to the quality of the hours. Like, the quality at work is going to be average, mediocre, and that's okay because your focus and your thoughts are towards your business. That's the real thing that you're trying to build. And so you want to have leftover energy after work so that you can go off and do absolutely amazing work on your business. And then you're going to be tired, and then that's why you need to, restitution, recovery, sleeping well, having a great schedule, the 4.5 other hours of your awake time, right? You got 16 hours awake time of the day. 11.5 goes to business and work, and then 4.5 to recovery and restitution. It's, Hormozy said in a clip, he said, I work out, and I sleep, right? And obviously eat, right? That's it. That's all he does, right? And sometimes he wonders if he's happy and all that stuff, right? But do you want what he's got? Do you want to create a life of success? And you don't even need to get to the level where he is, okay? He's still doing it. And the thing is that the reason why he's so massively successful and beyond hundreds of millions of dollars at this point in net worth, the reason why he's there is because he kept going once he made his millions. Okay? And that's why you can achieve the same thing that he's got if you just do the same things that he did. And you will gain the experience. So anyway, we're going back to the effectiveness of the 80-hour work week. That is the quality aspect of things. So moving on to what do you do in business? The vast majority of the time in business, it's going to be talking to strangers, a number of strangers. Okay, so the quantity of the 80-hour work week in business, if you are doing 80-hour work week, but you've spoken to 5 people today, you're not doing the 80-hour work week. You're actually chilling. You're relaxing, whether that's, writing in your journal, whether that's reading a book, personal development book, whether that's, going on Instagram and seeing some great reels with some great messages, watching a podcast, whatever you're doing, it's probably great, okay? But it's not building a business. And you're not doing the 80-hour work week. You're chilling probably 12 hours a day, and then maybe putting in 1 hour or 2 hours of business, maybe. That's not putting in the 80-hour work week. The 80-hour work week is actually figuring out how can I get to talking to 100 people every single day? That's it. You want the solution to business? Talk to 100 people every single day. He has his I love Hormozy stuff, okay? If you don't know who Alex Hormozy is, start watching his stuff because you're going to progress so massively in business. A lot of the things that he's talked about, I've been talking about as well. And so it's just like, it's proof that the stuff that I'm talking about is correct. But basically he was talking about, I kind of lost the train of thought on that one now. But yeah, anyway, it's the quantity of the make sure that you do the thing that needs to get done on a daily. Oh, okay, there you go. I got it back. You got 100 reach outs to strangers, and then you've got 100 warm. So you've got 100 people that you've spoken to in the past, and you're speaking to them again. So technically, if you're doing the 80-hour work week, you've got nothing going on in your schedule because no one knows about your product, no one knows about your service, and they can't make use of your product or service if you're not talking to them and offering it to them. So Hormozy is saying 200 people should be spoken to every single day. If you're doing 200, you're probably doing the 80-hour work week. And this is how it's going to look like. It's going to be approximately 5 to 6 hours is going to be spent talking to people. Okay? 3 hours is going to be talking to strangers that have never spoken to you before. And 2 to 3 hours is going to be talking to people that you've spoken to before. Okay? That's it. You can do this in 4 hours. Okay? But it's going to, by that time, you're extremely effective if you manage to do that. But in the beginning, if you have no delivery, then the 11.5 hours should only be researching names, okay? Your ideal avatar, trying to figure out who that is, and then reaching out to them. And if you are less effective, maybe you only manage to talk to 100 people. Okay, that's if you're less effective. I'm talking about entrepreneurs now, people that have managed to finish their job or managed to make enough from their business that they now have a full-time schedule of the 80-hour work week as entrepreneurs. If you're very less effective, you can do 100 people per day. If you are twice as effective, you can do 200. But technically, you could do 300 people that you speak to. I don't know anyone that's actually doing that on a continual basis. If you talk to 200 people per day, then you're going to have enough delivery that needs to get done because you're offering your services for free in the beginning, right? That you won't have time to do 300 on a continual basis. It's going to be 300 for a few days, for a week or so. And then suddenly you have to downgrade that to 200 because you're doing delivery. And then over time, it's probably going to have to downgrade it to 100 again. But by that time, you'll have someone else that's duplicated you and also doing 100 because it's their full-time job and you've employed them. So you see, in the beginning part of your entrepreneurship journey, that's how it looks like. Who wants to talk to 100 people every single day? Not many people. And if they knew that this is what business is about, they're probably not going to be interested. Now, are there people that are successful in business without doing that? Yes, there are, but they're doing something completely different. And I'll explain what I mean by that. So we're talking about effectiveness in terms of selling to a stranger. Now, that's sales, right? But you also have something called marketing. And delivery is going to be delivery no matter what. So think about it from this perspective. With marketing, you have you are sharing a message, and there's going to be two different messages that you've got. It's either going to be entertainment or it's going to be education. If you are educating someone, then you have to have a product on the back end, or else you're not going to make any money, because most people don't want to watch education stuff, right? And so as a result, there's very few views, and as you can see that on my channel as well, it's very often less than 1% of people, or even less than that actually watch my videos. On an entertainment channel, a successful channel will be 10% of the subscriber count actually watches the videos. In fact, if you get more than that, that's pretty much going viral on your video. For an education channel, it's going to be 1%. If you could do more than that, oh my gosh, you're absolutely going to crush it in business, okay? From an education perspective. That is marketing. So I had a client who did marketing, who did YouTube, and he wanted to grow big on YouTube. Has he spoken to 100 people every single day? No. Because that's not his business. His business was to spend a certain amount of hours every single day creating YouTube content and understanding how that game works. And so he had to put 8 hours every single day, and that's what he did. And obviously he would breathe and live YouTube outside of those 8 hours as well. But we had specific 8 hours every single day that he would plug in his mental framework. It was extremely difficult for him, very, very hard, but he got it done. And he did that consistently over an extended period of time. Can you imagine your full-time job and you actually work those 8 hours and make each of those hours more and more effective every single day? You're going to become successful on YouTube. It's impossible for you not to, because you keep going. You didn't quit. You kept doing the full-time work, and you got assistance and help in order for you to set up your life so you could do that, okay? So again, those are the only two options though. You could become really, really good at paid ads and really, really good at making a nice website that causes people to buy your stuff if it's a low ticket item, and then you just send a bunch of traffic. Do you have to talk to 100 people every single day then? No, you don't. But it's going to take you the same amount of time and same amount of pain, but probably in terms of, you're going to be more of a marketing guy. You're not going to be a sales guy anymore, right? You're going straight for the marketing aspect. Okay, then that's what you do. But at least you know that. So as an entrepreneur, you got the choice. Do you like talking to people? No. Great. Then you have to go the marketing route. There's no other way. But I don't like speaking on a screen. Hey, then you'll need to get AI to do it for you, or you'll need someone else to do it for you. Or just, like, you need to find a solution, because there's only these two options. You either talk to people, you directly, because you're a solopreneur in the beginning and you have no one else talking to people, or you talk to basically no one, because you're speaking into the camera and no one's listening to your message for an extended period of time until you get good at it, and until you find some content that actually does work and you can plot some paid ads into it, because you're working a full-time job on the side and you actually are learning how paid ads work, and now you can actually sell some stuff on the side using your marketing. Or you just get really, really good at entertainment on YouTube, and lots and lots of people watch your stuff, and then us other entrepreneurs will pay to get in front of your audience. Now you're making money without you having to speak to a bunch of people. This is how business works. Quantity and quality. So if you are doing the marketing side, it's going to be quantity still. You have to put in the hours, but you also have to continuously put out content. It has to be, if you're doing long form videos, 2 videos every single week, no matter what. And the quantity has to continuously increase every single week on each of those videos. If you're doing short form content and you're great at that, fantastic. That means that you have to post 3 times a day. That's how it works. And you do that consistently over an extended period of time, and they get better and better and better. And you're providing excellent entertainment for people. And that's how you make money on YouTube or on Instagram or anywhere else that we've got these platforms. It's actually fantastic. It's amazing that you can make money with marketing these days, because that wasn't a thing back in the day. Back in the day, if you were a business owner, you had to talk to lots and lots and lots of people. Now you have the chance to actually do it a little bit differently, which is kind of cool. So going back to counting the hours. If you don't count the hours, you won't be doing much hours. And so the quality of the hours is going to suck for a further extended period of time than was necessary. If you do count the hours, and in the beginning, it's just about the schedule, because you're not going to want to do the work. And so if you've got the schedule, and you're not doing the work, then you need to sit in your chair, belt yourself to the chair, or stare straight at the wall, okay? Just look at the wall, and there's nothing happening. You get bored real quick, and so you now have to start talking to people. Okay? You're counting the hours. This is how many hours I actually set aside in order for me to talk to 100 people or 200 or 300 people today. And then you actually go and do it. Most entrepreneurs won't, and they're entrepreneurs. The people that actually do it, they're entrepreneurs. They start making money because they are offering a solution to people that people want, and solving a painful problem that people have with a solution. So all of this comes back to, oh man, but which business should I start? Okay, now we're in a completely different vicinity of topic. And, and if you don't know yet, we need to have a discussion. Let's do a 5-day transformation. In the description, you'll have a link where you can DM me directly. Like literally, you push the link and it goes straight onto Instagram and straight into my inbox. And you just say, hey, or say free, or say whatever you want. I'll respond, because this is what I do all day, every day right now. And I'm excited to help you to figure out your business journey and understanding how to do the 80-hour work week effectively without doing all of the wrong mistakes and issues that most people have, and get past those things quickly so that you can move on to doing what successful people do in business. If this is too much for you, then stay in a job. That's okay. Having a job is fantastic. Find someone else who's a founder, who's willing to talk to 100 people every single day, and then latch on to him for their life and ask him what you can do to support him, because this is extremely difficult, and help him to do the delivery, right? And ask if you can be a business partner of sorts through that. or ask if you can do the marketing for him, or whatever it is that you want to do. You need to figure it out. Let's have a conversation. And I hope this one was fun for you guys to do. Let's see if there are any comments. And if there are any comments, then we will chat with them. Let's see. All right, fantastic. That was it for today.